And what was that experience like for you to hear those words? Was it surprising, or by that point did you feel like, yeah, I think this is who I am?
I think I could have seen it go either way. Honestly, I mean, I grew up in France, first of all. I mean, to this day, in 2021, they don't even diagnose all the kids who are like on the most like severe side. Like they are
Oh,
so behind when it comes to autism. So
wow.
in the 90s, I didn't stand a chance being what they
Yeah.
call high functioning, you know. Um, but when she said it, you know, I kind of like prepared myself for it because I mean that's why I went there, because I saw that was a possibility, and at the same time I felt so kind of like angry. I'm like, man, everything I struggled with, like I could have been helped. You know, I could have
Yeah.
gotten help if I had been diagnosed, if people had been paying more attention instead of saying, oh, well, she's shy, she's gifted, she has anxiety, all of these things. Because, you know, I was a textbook autistic child. And I feel like in 2021, I wouldn't have been missed. But back then, and in
Yeah.
France too, I was. So it was like mixed emotion. I was glad, you know, there was an explanation to my struggles, but at the same time I was frustrated that I didn't get the diagnosis earlier, if that makes sense.
Wow, I had no idea that France was like that. That's really interesting.
And sad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very agreed, very sad. So, yeah, the journey with my friend who was diagnosed was, he, by the time we got to that point, he said he wasn't surprised. He said, "Yeah, I sort of felt like that was the way it was going." And it was so much more comforting for him to actually hear those words and say, "Okay, like I can kind of go down this path and understand who I am better." So he was a lot
Mhm.
happier with it.
Yeah, I feel that.
Um, so those are kind of some of the big picture things, but I'm curious, what does a typical day look like for you, in terms of, you have your partner, you have two kids, younger kids, like what is a typical day like for you?
It's busy. So I drive my oldest to therapy every day, Charlie. He goes to therapy 32 hours a week right now. So I drop him off at 9 or 10, depending on the day. And my youngest right now is doing remote school because, you know, COVID pandemic. So my husband stays with him while I drive Charlie to therapy. And then I come home and I work. I have a freelance job at Bumble. It's a dating app.
Oh yeah,
It's a
very
really cool
popular.
app.
Yeah.
I love them. I made so many friends on that app because
Uh,
they also have a BFF section.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
awesome.
they have BFF, business, and dating. It's not just dating on Bumble.
Yeah.
Uh, Shameless plug because I really love that app. So I
No,
work
that's
for
great.
Bumble for a while, and then I work on my blog stuff too.
Yeah.
While you know, Charlie's in therapy, Judy's at school, and at night often I have a podcast like this because I host a podcast too, and then I do interviews pretty often with other podcast hosts, um, and then I try and go out with my friends at least once or twice a week because I
Nice.
really need that time for myself. Like I'm gonna go out after our interview. I need it, you
So I
know.
won't keep you too long because you got to have that time to go out, right? And what is your podcast called?
It's called Adulting on the Spectrum, actually. My
Yeah,
co host is autistic too, and we only have autistic guests, and we try to listen to, you know, different perspective.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. So you're busy. You do photography and you have a huge Instagram channel. You've written two books. You have a podcast. You're really got your hands in a lot of different cookie jars. So let's talk about some of the positive things. Like, what are some of the really positive experiences that you've had, in any of those fields since you've started this journey? Like the people that you've met, or just the experiences you've had.
So many. I mean, it's changed my life to be in this. I mean, first of all, 2 years ago, I wouldn't even accepted a podcast invitation because I'm a writer. It's really hard for me to talk, and now I'm getting more and more comfortable actually like talking to people.
Oh,
I'm I mean, even in French, I don't like talking that to people like that usually because it's hard, you know. But now I feel like comfortable. I used to be very self-conscious about my accent, and I'm starting to, you know, feel better about it. To me, that's a huge positive. I've met some amazing people. first person to believe in me. Was my first agent manager, and that just changed my outlook on people. um, I'm like, wow, there are actually some people who don't see me just as like weird, and because of that, I started opening myself up to the rest of the world, if I can say, and that's how
Yeah.
I met friends here. That's why I wrote that book. I started just really opening up. You know, I was very on the defensive before. I met so many other autistic people and parents of autistic kids that I can relate to. It's and yeah, and then some professional wins too. You know, my two books. I mean, that's a dream come true.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I gotta say, you're great with conversation here. You're very conversational, so you're definitely
Thank you.
on the uprise with that. So we talked about those awesome positive things, and that's just really cool to hear that people reaching out and getting to connect with great humans. What would you say are some daily challenges you face? I know you talked about your son being autistic and you're autistic, but just overall, whether it's work or family or personally, what are some daily challenges that you seem to face or run into?
Well, first of all, balancing it all. I mean, it's hard. You know, like my autism, my kids' autism, which are like very different. My husband, my friends, work, all of that. Then the things that I want to do, because I have so many projects in my head,
Yeah,
and it's like so many things going on. So that's hard. And also, one of the biggest, if I'm being honest, is I'm worried about my oldest son's future, because his autism is severe. And I say severe, and people don't like using those terms, but I mean, I'm trying to show the difference, because there's such a big difference between autism, like someone like me, who can have a conversation with, right now
yeah,
we're having a conversation, and like my son, who I only know like if he wants food, because he uses an app on his iPad to communicate. Like, he
yeah,
doesn't talk, and he's 8. So the spectrum is broad, and I worry about his future. And what if something happens to me, to my husband? Who's gonna take care of him? It's hard. That's probably the biggest struggle, honestly.
yeah. I can't even imagine. It's a cliche thing to say, but my nephew is autistic, and he's nonverbal, and he struggles a lot. He struggles with a lot of different things. He has really bad seizures and things like that. So just to see that objectively is so hard, and hearing these stories, I think you're incredible for doing what you do and being able to balance so many different things, and you seem to balance it really well. That's the thing. You seem to do a
Thank
really
you.
good job balancing. So kind of speaking of that, like what's going on, obviously you have your next book coming out soon, but what's going on right now? What are some future things that you have going on, or anything that you want to talk about?
Well, I've been working for a while now, on a script for TV, actually, because I feel like severe autism is not
Yeah,
actually being shown much on TV. Often you see the quirky autistic, like the good doctor,
yeah,
atypical, and I feel like this severe side needs to be shown more. And I'm working on a TV script, but like I'm learning everything as I go, and it's taking so long for me to write. But I'm working on that. I don't know where it's gonna go. Maybe nowhere, but that's something that I'm really
try.
trying to get
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow, that's really awesome. I'm going to be super interested to hear where that goes. I One of the things I like most about you is you seem unafraid to try. It's like, you know, can I be a writer? I don't know. I'm going to try. Can I be a photographer? I don't know. I'm going to try. Like you seem determined to try as many things as you can, and that's how I am. I just want to try everything and do all the things that I want to do. So I commend and applaud you for all the efforts, and I think that's really cool. And I agree with you. I was actually just talking to a friend that hosts a YouTube channel, Toy Quest 101, and his daughter Ileana is autistic, and he talks about that all the time, of how autistic people, across the entire spectrum, are not accurately or properly represented in movies and television and things like that, and how it needs to change. So it's really interesting to hear you said
Yeah.
that, because he said something very similar to that. So Go you. That's pretty amazing. I love that. Okay, so like let's do something fun now. I'm gonna do a rapid fire kind of question with you, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So just the first thing that comes to your mind, some are easy, some a little maybe thought-provoking, but first one is pretty easy. What's your favorite like snack or late night snack to have?
Uh, very French, but it's pâté. I don't even know if you know what that is.
Like pate?
Yeah. Yeah, like
Oh,
cooked
okay.
with bread.
Yes, I love pate. I usually have it with like a grain mustard or something. I don't know if that's sacrilegious, but I like it with like a grain mustard.
I forgive you.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so next question. What is your favorite thing about living in Austin?
The people.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good people there. So, okay. Um, what is the number one thing that you have learned about personal growth of yourself of having an autistic son?
I just believe in yourself as a parent and as a person. Believe in yourself.
Yeah, love that. What is your dream vacation?
Hmm. Maybe Australia.
Ooh, good one. Never been there. I've heard it's
Me
awesome.
neither.
Australia. All right. So what does happiness mean to you?
Just seeing the people around me happy.
So good. I love that kind of answer. I agree. When you can make somebody smile or have a positive impact on somebody's life, it's the coolest thing in the world. So,
Yeah. I feel so proud.
what is your favorite weekend activity?
Well, I like to go out and take pictures at sunset. Like that just makes me happy to see sunset
Yeah.
everywhere. I don't know if that's an activity, but sunset.
Oh, yeah. Golden hour is amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
golden
Yeah.
hour. You know
Golden
it.
hour is
You know.
amazing. And then last one. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, exactly what we were talking about. You know what? You're gonna fall sometimes, and that's okay. Don't let the fear of failure stop you from trying, because if you keep trying, one day it's gonna work and you're gonna be so proud of yourself. There is no shame in trying and failing. Like, failure is nothing. We all fail at one point or another, so just try and try and try.
You hear it here, everybody. Just listen to Eileen. I'm gonna put all the links and descriptions below to everything you're involved with. It's a lot, but I'm putting it all in there. Honestly, you're inspirational to me. I love what you're doing and the journey that you're on. Keep going. I'm a fan. We're gonna be getting your book when it comes out. So thank you so much for doing this podcast. It's really meant a lot to me, and I'm very appreciative. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. That was great.
Yeah, awesome.
Great
So
host.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, for everybody out there, if this is your first time coming here, welcome. If you're coming back, thank you so much for coming back. And regardless of where you're coming from, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and I will see you in the next video.
Bye bye.